Hetepu fam, peace and blessings. This is Derric RauKhu more, and just finished my project for my for abstract algebra. Got 100 on it, so quite pleased. Kind of stoked about that. And now I'm waiting to get the results from this last project that I had to do. Had a take-home exam, take-home final. So I'm waiting to get that to see how those results came through. So good deal. Now that that's all done, now that school is over, now I can get into my real studies, get into this spiritual stuff, okay? I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to talk about something real briefly. Not going to be with you very long, but just wanted to talk about something real briefly. And this was because mainly I was having a conversation with someone, and once again the subject came up of saving our people, okay? And I remember when it came up, I had to go ahead when I'm talking to this individual. I was reminding them, and it was kind of coming to me that part of the reason why a lot of us we're on this, we kind of get stuck on this whole thing of saving our people. It's because a lot of us are influenced by Martin Luther King. A lot of us are influenced by Malcolm X. A lot of us, after reading about those, those individuals, a lot of us are influenced by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We're influenced by them. And that was, for the most part, during that generation, that was the tone, Same thing for, those of us who were, if you read the stories, and the true stories, I should say, of Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth, same idea, We're influenced by them, and because of that, we are prone to, we want to go ahead, we want to save our people, because that's how they were, But we've crossed another segment in this journey, and it's kind of difficult for us to go ahead and do that right now. Not saying that it can't be done, but that's just not the process. Okay, we live in a different time, we have different dynamics that are going around, and as a result, it's very difficult for us to go ahead and try to save anybody. Okay, now just think about it. Think about when you went ahead and you left the church. Okay, think about all the things that happen. Now most of the time, for most of us, part of the reason why we leave the church, we have this loss of faith or whatever, is because all of a sudden it was like suddenly something just didn't make sense. It just wasn't logical. All right, and after we kind of thought about it, it was kind of like pulling a piece of thread, from a garment. It just kept unwinding. And the more and more we pull, the more and more it unwind. And eventually we found ourselves, with just a piece of thread, because the whole sweater, what have you, has basically, it was just, it came apart. And part of the reason why it's difficult, and like I said, if not damn near impossible, to go ahead and save our people, is because the same way in which you went ahead and you came across this whole logical explanation of certain things not making sense, that's the same thing other people have to do. Now, part of the reason why, again, the other reason why, and this is the occult reason, the reason why a lot of people, they're stuck in the church and you really can't save them, they have to save themselves, is because they are being controlled by like I said, by a spirit. Okay, some people, they call that spirit a thought form, ergamor, a tulpa, a pendulum. These are all different terms of basically the same thing. But that's what's controlling those people, and that's the reason why it's hard for them to go ahead and get out of it. Okay, because the whole thing about these, this spirit, the tulpa, ergamor, whatever you choose to call it. The whole thing about it is that it feeds off of emotions. It goes ahead and it keeps it empowers them, and then in the process of it empowering them, it basically goes ahead. They go ahead and they give it, put their energy and whatever into it and feed it, and that spirit basically goes ahead and it pays them back by making them feel like, hey, you are blessed and you are saved and you are, eventually when you die, you're gonna meet Jesus. Or Jesus or Jehovah or whatever it is. Okay, that's basically what it is, and that's part of the reason why it's hard to go ahead and break that. Okay, it's an emotional tie. Now, the same way in which we went ahead, we came across this whole idea that, okay, something's not making sense. You're trying to tell me that logically that somebody put a bunch of animals on one boat for 40 days and nothing happened? I mean, it took us going ahead and looking at it from that logical perspective for us to go ahead and see the metaphysical and the metaphorical understanding behind the stories, behind the Bible, behind to see the astrology and all that. It took us going ahead and actually having to have that conversation and challenge ourselves to look at it from a logical perspective that made us go ahead, and that's what caused us to break free from that spirit. Okay? But the same way in which we had to go ahead and break free from that spirit, it's the same way these people have to do it as well. All right? It's the same way our folks have to do it. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but swallow it we must. We must swallow it, okay? Because that's really how they can be saved. All right? So that's the reason why I keep saying we need to make sure that we're just focus on ourselves, focus on what we're doing. The same thing can also be said about these people who go ahead and they keep talking about, well, the ancient Egyptians, the Kemetic people, they were white, they were Asian, they were this, and they were all these other kind of, whatever. It's the same idea. These are people who are basically, they have no logical understanding of anything. And basically that spirit that they're following is basically telling them this is what it is. Okay? This is the truth right here. Right? The Kemetic people, they're from outer space, or they're from here, or they're the ancient this. That's, like I said, that's a spirit that's basically going ahead and leading those people to do that. This is the reason why I choose not to. I put this little post up here, I put the references up there, and I'm like, that's it. Okay? I don't choose to get into no debates and all that kind of stuff of what the Kemetic people were, what was their ethnicity, and I don't care about that, because guess what? I know who they were, and that's all that's needed. Okay? I got my logical understanding, my logical explanation behind it, and then that's it. That's all I need to go ahead and be able to build on to the next level. All right? So I don't involve myself in that, because I know if I go ahead and I get into that, like a lot of people have done, it's a spirit that's basically feeding off of that energy. And that's what it is. It's a spirit that's feeding off of that. We got more important things to do. Okay? More important things to do than to sit up here and debate about what is and what all this other kind of stuff. Okay? Leave it for the scholars and move on. Okay? So, understand, people. Understand, fam. We can't save our people. Our people have to go ahead and they have to learn how to save ourselves. All we can do is basically be an example. Okay? And so that when those of our people who are going ahead and they finally break through, that spirit, they finally go ahead and they leave that spirit, we can go ahead and we can show them this is the way. This is the way of my aunt. This is the way in which we do this. All right. So hopefully that helped you. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight in regards to how to deal with that. Thanks again for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Until next time, that's proof. Peace.
You the upstanding family man. You got a good thing, man. Come on, take a low. Come on, take a low. Be strong. Be real strong. I mean, nigga,